team, hockey, Scott Moir and Tessa Virtue. All these things come to mind when we think about Canada.
Yeah, we almost don't need their last names anymore, right? Just Scott and Tessa. And here to celebrate those things and more is our friend, three-time Olympic gold medalist, Scott. Joins us now. Scotty, how are you? Good to see you.
I'm great. Good morning to all of you.
Yeah, how have you been, and what have you been up to the last, little while here during the pandemic?
Well, that is a good question. Actually, I got a little bit more into coaching, so trying to affect the young minds, which can be a dangerous thought, I imagine, to some of the fans out there. But it's been fun to be back on the ice and kind of use some of the 22 years of experience that Tessa and I were able to represent this country, and kind of celebrate being Canadian with all of Canadians across the country. Now we're turning that over to the next generation.
And you're doing it beautifully. Also, tell us about this campaign that you are taking part in, where we are celebrating our beautiful country. The campaign is called My Home is Canada. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it's actually quite simple, and we've got an overwhelming response. We're just asking Canadians to send pictures in of things that they think makes them Canadian. It's been a really great mixture, and if you go to the website myhomeiscanada.ca, you'll see it really represents all the corners of our country, all the beautiful, diverse corners, from food to landscape, and it's as I said, quite overwhelming and beautiful. I even got in on it a little bit, adding a couple of pictures. And now that we finally have snow in southwestern Ontario, I think I'll have a couple more over the weekend. But and really, it just kind of culminates up to this digital montage that we're doing next Tuesday. And you got to check it out. It is pretty neat.
Yeah, looking at all these photos coming in, has it made you kind of reflect on what it means to be Canadian? What does being Canadian mean to you, Scott?
Well, that's a great question, a little bit of a loaded question, but I think this is the time to celebrate, what it means to have a beautiful, diverse country, a welcoming community, and as I said, Tess and I were so fortunate to kind of travel across this country for so many years and have support from all corners. So I think being Canadian is very, very original, because you have so many different parts of the country that make up kind of the fabric, what it means to be Canadian. As I said, landscape, kind of that little bit of the food culture, but it's very diverse and welcoming. And I hope that's what Canada stands for. And I kind of have to take my hat off to my partners Clubhouse and French's for getting behind this. This has been very, very fun for me to be a part of, and good for them for bringing a little bit of optimism in this time that can be a little bit dark.
I was thinking about that question too, guys, what it means to be Canadian. I feel like it's being that person always welcome at the party. Whenever you go around the world and travel, you say you're Canadian, you're like, oh, come on in. Everyone loves us. It's a great feeling. Scott, I wanted to take part in this campaign, so I sent so many photos to the producer of this segment, Samantha. I don't know which one she chose, but here are my submissions.
Nice.
Okay, so here we go. We're in a canoe, me and the fam, in the Kawartha Lakes. For those who are not familiar with Kawartha Lakes, it's a beautiful area in Ontario for a lot of camping and cottaging, because that means that's Canadian, right? Is it not? Cottaging and camping. And then on the other side, okay, guys, we're not only cheering on the Maple Leafs, but we're cheering them on outside at the Winter Classic a few years ago. I was also sick as a dog in that photo, by the way. But that's what you do when you're Canadian. You tough it up and you go out and cheer on the fellas.
Yeah, you got the best of both seasons there, Care. I love it. You got the summer and the winter going there. When I think about Canada, the photo that comes to mind for me is, well, here it is right here. I think, Scott, we could replace the maple leaf with that on the flag. The stubby, no?
Yeah, it looks pretty good. That's a nice cold water there, I take it, capped off.
Yeah, that's it. So, okay, listen, we're going to do a bit of a rapid fire with you, Scott, ask you about some of your favorite Canadian things. And we wanted to start with favorite Canadian band or artist. Who's that for you?
Oh, The Hip. That's a tough one. Took me a long time to get that one out.
Yeah.
There's a lot,
All right.
but it's up there.
A lot of people would agree with you on that one. Okay, favorite Canadian food?
Poutine. I think my time in Montreal did that to me. After a couple of those stubbies, it's always good to have a poutine at the end of the night.
All right, stubbies and poutine. I know somebody who no longer is training for the Olympics, Care.
Is it that obvious? Wow.
All right, your favorite Canadian place? What's that, Scott?
Oh boy, that's kind of a loaded question. You know what? I've been really in love with the Maritimes, the East Coast, and in particular Newfoundland. I think there's just something special about the people. I'm all about people, so that does it for me.
That's a bucket list of mine, Scott. I worked out in the East Coast, but I never made it up to the Rock. I gotta get up there. I gotta get up there.
It changes you.
I know.
I really do think it does.
Favorite Canadian pastime? I think we know.
Well, now that we have snow, I would say snowmobiling. I'm pretty excited. I do miss being on the hill, snowboarding. I just took it up now that I'm not training for the Olympics, as Jeff pointed out. But snowmobiling right now, it's fun to finally have some snow.
All right, and finally, your favorite Canadian memory, Scott Moir. What comes to mind?
Well, I mean, don't get me emotional here on a Friday morning, but Tess and I are so blessed to be able to represent this country, and to anytime I can think about taking her hand and skating to center ice. It's just now that we've had a little bit of distance, looking back, we just realize how fortunate we really were. But my favorite memory, I think, will always be the flag in her hands and one of her hands in mine and my hand on her shoulder walking to the opening ceremonies of 2018, looking back and seeing our teammates. And much like this campaign, knowing exactly what Canadians and Canada represents.
You know, I was going to say, as the author of many great Canadian moments, absolutely. Getting goosebumps just hearing you describe that and living that with the two of you all these years. Scott, thanks so much for this, A. I just had to add that because we can't do a segment on Canada without at least one A.
I can't believe I didn't throw in there any of those just authentically, but...
Scotty.